TruthSeekah and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah Podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? This is the TruthSeekah Podcast. I'm TruthSeekah, your host. Here hanging out with you guys here live on YouTube. Shout out to everybody holding us down in the chat right now. Christy Folks, Benny, what's up, brother? Good to see you here. Chris Bars and everybody else joining in. Christy Lee, the chat's filling up now. Had an awesome time hanging out with you guys in Discord. Discord is blowing up right now. It's popping. So if you're looking for a community, you want to connect with us off the air, we're usually always in Discord, some of us, and there's voice chat. We're listening to music, we're chatting it up, hanging out. So make sure you click that link in the description to hang out with us over there on Discord. That would be awesome. Join the community. Also, quick shout out to everybody who has been supporting my work through Patreon. Thank you guys again. The beginning and end of this show was always approaching it with an attitude of gratitude, because I couldn't do this without you guys. So thank you guys so much for supporting my work via Patreon. But those of you who want to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. The link is in the description. There you can sign up for any level of giving and get a bunch of perks and rewards. My full discography of music, extra podcast. You get access to School of the Mystics is every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central. We hang out on video chat and we usually do a course together or some type of devotional, and I would just open up, be kind of raw and authentic with one another, and that's where it's at, man. Just having people to talk to, knowing that you're not alone. You know what I'm saying? You're not the only one who is having these crazy encounters and learning and searching. So to have other people to roll ideas off of and study with and ask those crazy questions that you can't ask anybody else. You ask your co-workers, you're going to be reported to the boss. Hey, this guy's over here talking to me about this weird stuff again. You know what I'm saying? So this is a safe environment that we've set up to really connect and try our intuition, psychic abilities, all that really fun stuff. So School of the Mystics every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central. Get access to that by becoming a patron. So, yeah, make sure you check that out. Today, my guest, Matt Morris, reached out to me several weeks ago on my TruthSeekah page and just sent me a message saying what's up, saying he appreciates the work and stuff. And I seen he had something awesome to bring to the table. So I was like, man, let's connect. Let me get you on the show and hang out and talk about this stuff that you're bringing to the table, because it totally fits into the discussion and the subject matter. You said you checked out my music back in 2006.
That's right, man. 2006. Yeah. I used to be a big fan of yours. Man. Long time ago, back in the day.
There's not a lot of those people around who have been there in the early years and are still around. There's 2 or 3 of you guys. It's not many people, man. So shout out to that, dude. Yeah,
awesome, man. Yeah. Good stuff.
Man, welcome to the show, brother. Looking forward to connecting with you today. Like I said, the subject matter, we're talking about being authentic, being vulnerable, and how to live in the present moment. So many ways and techniques to do this. The importance of doing it. Like, what is it? We're gonna get into a little bit of that today. I want you to kind of give a little bit of your background, man. Let people know who you are and what you bring to the table. That'd be awesome, just to kind of start with your story.
Yeah, first off, man, thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it. Hopefully I can share some value with your listeners.
Totally.
All right, so yeah, man. My story, I'll give you my background. Basically, what happened was, up for about the first 10 years of my life, I was living a really good childhood. I played sports, I had friends, I had a great childhood. I was a pretty good student, things like that. My dad and my mom were both attorneys. They did well for themselves. My dad had his own private airplane, so we'd take family vacations every couple months. It was awesome. But after this one trip, a ski trip in Taos, New Mexico, we boarded my dad's plane to fly back home to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it was raining and snowing. My mom wasn't really sure we should go because of the weather conditions. But my dad was like, hey, the kids got school tomorrow and we got work. So we boarded the plane. Plane took off and everything seemed fine until we got up to about 7,000 or 8,000 feet. And then at that point, everything went black. Basically, the plane went down. And I went into a coma for 1 month. So I basically had to relearn how to walk, how to talk, how to do everything. Just start all over. I was in and out of rehab for the next 6 months. And in the plane crash, we were stuck outside for 11 hours. So unfortunately, my mom passed away, which is really hard on our family, of course. And my dad had a head injury, so he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder later because he felt a lot of guilt from the accident. And then basically my remaining disabilities after I got, basically almost pretty much back to normal, quote unquote, I had a back problems and I had scoliosis, so it was difficult for me to walk. And I walked with a limp in high school. Of course, kids were kind of mean in high school, as many of you know. High school is not the most fun place, especially when you have a disability. Well, about living in the present moment, it's changed so many lives, like letting go of the past and stop worrying so much about the future. So that was key. That was key, my transformation. And then just recently an update of where I am now. I was actually facing a last summer. What happened was, as you guys probably know, the lead singer of Linkin Park took his own life last July, which was really, really traumatic for me because their band basically saved my life when I was like 18 or 19 years old. I felt like, their music because I really connected with it. But he took his life. So I got into another state of depression for about a month and a half, and I didn't share with anybody. I told nobody what was going on inside my head because, at this point, I was always seen as the positive guy, the guy that always, super optimistic. I couldn't show my vulnerable side. I couldn't show that I'm actually sad, that I'm actually hurting inside. I couldn't show that. I didn't want to be anybody to perceive me as that. So what I did. I began to feel these depressions and I was really conscious of it. I felt like a dark cloud was hovering over my head that just wouldn't go away. It felt like I was trapped inside my body, like paralyzed and stuck. I was unmotivated to do anything. So at this point, I was like, I can't stay like this. I'm getting nothing done. This is really a sick feeling, and I feel like I can't stay this way. So I heard about a vulnerability from a lady named Brene Brown. She has a really amazing TEDx. Her name is Brene Brown. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to open up to my wife, tell her like that I really feel depressed. I didn't want to bother with my problems. I didn't want to let her know about the old news that Chester Bennington died and keep repeating it over and over and over and over. I felt like that. But the reality is that that's the answer. That's what I needed to do. I needed to open up. And so that's what I did. I started talking to her. I'm like, I feel really depressed. And I've been down for a while, because his death is still hurting me. I'm still really down about the fact that he, took his own life. So I opened up to her, and the cloud began to fade away. I talked to her about it. She was like, she's glad. I shed some tears. Felt really, really sad. And then I began to open up to more people. I opened up to my best friend. I opened up to my sister about what I was feeling inside. I did a Facebook Live about what happened to me and my traumatic experience, about how I was afraid of sharing with anybody that I was in a plane crash. I didn't want to be looked at as different. I didn't want to be seen as not good enough. So, and then I began to also share about how I was feeling from the loss of Chester Bennington, his suicide. So what I realized was that actually being vulnerable and talking about your emotions is a sign of strength. Really, the ability to do that, it takes a lot of courage. So I know as a boy growing up, I was always like, everyone always told me that, just shut up and deal with your emotions by yourself. Don't ever show yourself crying. Don't ever show yourself. Don't ever let anybody know that you're not feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it was. So I realized that so then I did a bunch of research the past 6 months and actually came out with a book called The Vulnerability. Well, it's actually it's about vulnerability and how opening up about it, opening up to the world, opening up to people you can trust, people that actually love you and want to see you happy, people that will listen, changes your world completely. So basically that's my story in a nutshell. I know it's kind of long, but that was it, man.
Yeah, man. Give us some background about who you are and pretty much some framework, you know what I'm saying, from coming out of depression, admitting that you're dealing with stuff on the inside. If you just hold it within, like, you know what I'm saying, try to hide it from people, like that's the big sin of the garden, is like trying to hide it even from God. I'm okay, everything's fine, and everything's falling apart around you. Nope, I'm okay. And so, like with people talking about pursuing your dreams, following your destiny, and when it comes to spirituality, they say fake it till you make it, and don't acknowledge the problem. Like act like it's not there, but it's gonna stay there unless we deal with it, right? To admit something's going on. I know in the scriptures it says like, confess your sins, your burdens, confess it to someone so you can find healing. Because if you're hiding it, it's going to stay there. But when you confess it, you speak it out, you get it off of you, and you kind of release it, man. So there's power there of just simply acknowledging that you got something going on that you need help with,
Yeah, that's 100% right, man. And it's crazy because we're kind of training our society, just focus on your goals, focus on moving forward, but then if you do that, you forget about the present moment, which is actually the most important part. And then you also got to heal from your past. But before you can actually stay in the present moment, or you need to work on your past before you should actually move forward with your goals. Yeah. Because, this is why so many people in America are depressed. Like in the US, 1 out of every 15 people are in a state of depression. Think of that, man. That's like 7% of our population. That's a ton of people. It's so sad, man. And then the saddest part is that like depression is the most common cause of suicide. And it's crazy. Statistically speaking, like approximately 123 people each day in the US take their lives. And for every suicide, there are 25 unsuccessful attempts, man. Think of those numbers. It's crazy.
So let me ask you this. So what do you think is the main cause? I don't know if there is a main cause. I know there's a lot of causes, but people who aren't happy. You say, if I get this, I'll be happy. There's this thing too. That's part of being in the, it pulls you out of the moment. If I buy this, I'll be happy. If I go here, if I achieve this goal, then I'll be happy and I won't be depressed anymore. Or I'll be fulfilled, or I'll stop doing drugs, or whatever the case is, Then we see people, successful people like Chester Bennington, Anthony Bourdain. I mean, the list goes on of celebrities who seem like they have it all together. They need for nothing, but inwardly they're fighting to keep their life, man. You know what I'm saying? So what do you think it is the leading cause of depression, if that's even makes sense? Because it's just, I know it's so complicated and complex idea of what causes depression. But what would you say, man?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. I really, as I talk about in my book, I feel like the main cause of depression is a lack of connection. I know in our world, our digital world that we live in today, everything's, everybody's on the phone, everybody's texting and stuff. But the reality is we need human connection. It's as vital as food. Human connection is just as important as a nurturing mother to its baby. It's so important. We need other people around us who we can talk to, who can, share love with, who love us, who support us.
Yeah.
Things like that. And that's what I feel like the main cause of it is. And I feel like a lot of these like big name, celebrities are just a small portion of the suicidal population, but it could be your mom, dad, sister, brother, child, anybody. Everybody's at risk for depression and suicide, which is the sad part. But we always hear about like the Chester Benningtons, the Anthony Bourdain, the Kate Spade, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
These guys, they feel a lack of connection. I feel like if they had somebody in their life who really, really felt like they could really talk to and connect with at a deep level, like really share everything with, then I feel like this wouldn't be the case. And I feel like because these are such big name people, they feel very alone. They feel very just like they can't talk.
They can't be normal.
Yeah, they can't be normal because
everybody wants something, or they don't know you. They know the persona. They know the you on TV or you from the song or whatever.
Totally. Yeah, they're like, yeah, man. Let me have your autograph and then let's talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. Like celebrities who are like going out. And people who are in bands and stuff, and somebody be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it's you. Can I get a selfie?" They'll get a selfie with them, and then they'll run off and leave, and they're ready to share it out and show people. But the artist, the celebrity, he's waiting to have a real conversation. There's a bunch of footage of like Justin Bieber interacting with the paparazzi now. Like back in the day, he would, hide his face, push them, fight them, all kind of stuff. And now he's like, hey, put the camera down and let's talk. No, man. No, I got to get the shot. But like, this is weird. What are you doing? Let's have a conversation. And he's wanting to connect with this random paparazzi person or whatever the case is, but they're just like, he's not human. He's a symbol or a subject. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's such a crazy dichotomy. It's so true. And it's like I feel like a lot of people are afraid to say the words that I need help.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the most important thing is like, for me, I remember my situation, like I didn't want to tell anybody that I needed help. I wanted to do it all on my own. I was like, oh yeah, I can do this on my own. I've done everything else by myself. I can do this. But the reality is, no, you can't do it on your own. You need people, you need connection, you need love, you need support. And that's the problem with a lot of people out there. They can't say, I need help.
You have to deal with it too, whatever it is you're facing. You have to deal with it when it's small. There's a bunch of scriptures and quotes about like nipping it in the bud and not feeding it, because it's little, we look at the Bible, the serpent figure. We got this in the garden. The Satan figure is a snake. And by the end of Revelation, it's a huge dragon that you got to deal with. And it's the same way, man, for like the things in our lives that is like unhealthy or killing us or whatever the case is. If you don't deal with it when it's early, it's going to be a lot harder, man. And it could, man, it's array is open because it could be anything. You're like funding false dreams. We talk about dealing with like the pain of the past and hurt and stuff, because a lot of people want to be successful because someone told them they couldn't be, and now you're creating this thing, you're pursuing this career, which the only reason you're doing it is because it's to get back at someone who said you'd never be successful doing it. And that's not what your calling is. That's not what your heart is. You're operating out of hurt. So you have to deal with the soul wounds and the childhood hurts and things like that. Get over it before you can pursue your dreams. That's really cool how you painted the picture of saying we have to go back to the past and deal with the past so that we can be in the present and be okay in the present. Because I think a lot of people are not in the present because they can't deal with themselves. They can't deal with them with their thoughts and everything that comes up. So you have escapism, drugs and alcohol, things like that suppress the wounds and things like that. So once we deal with the childhood hurts in the past and the forgiveness and stuff like that, then we can be okay with just sitting in silence and being in that now moment.
Right. Yeah, like I mean, so many studies have shown that people in the U.S. do whatever they can to avoid vulnerability, to numb out the pain. You know, with the drugs, the alcohol, the porn, the TV, the food, all types of different addictions. Yeah. So there's so many people that are addicted to stuff. You know, but that's really where people get trapped, and then it just gets worse and worse, and it builds up like the serpent turns into a dragon. You know, the thing is like people who don't feel like they can talk about their problems, you know, they're more at risk for depression, and then which eventually leads as it builds up, it gets worse and worse and goes to suicide. Yeah. So they have a really, really bad week. Like imagine what Anthony Bourdain was having, a really bad week, but his depression just got so heavy. Yeah. That's like this demon got inside his head. He's like, just, you know, kill yourself, basically. Really, really tough. So, I mean, the problem with that is we just isolate ourselves even more and more when we don't feel like we can talk about it.
Yeah, there's people get in these weird holes, man, and they feel like they're alone. They feel like nobody understands them. They're the only ones who feel this certain type of way. They're the only one who has ever experienced this loneliness or this trial or tribulation that they have. This you know what I'm saying, character flaw or like, yeah. If it's I mean, I've heard there's so many women on the internet, and I see statuses. All guys are dogs. No, you know, there's nobody out there for me, and I wish there was a guy for me. And then there's guys who are isolated who say the same thing, like, "Oh man, all the girls are this. All the girls just want to go clubbing and drinking." I'm like, who are these girls you're hanging out with? Like, I know tons of females who are looking for a partner who have very similar interests to you, but you have to go out there and find them and not like approach it with this preconceived notion that this is it and this is the way it is, or it's got to be. With being in the now moment, you have the power to create whatever you want, to call it into existence, to focus on it if that's what you want, to be present instead of being outside of yourself, or I'm living in the future. I have a preconceived notion that every woman is this and every guy is a player in this, and so every relationship you come into is you're gonna approach it with a preconceived notion like that. That's not real. It's not real at all, you know.
That's a really good point, you know, because the cool thing about the present moment is once you get in the present moment, you have fear doesn't exist there. And the problem is, like, a lot of people you're talking about are afraid of meeting new people. They're afraid of the fear of rejection, which everybody has a little bit of fear of rejection. Yeah. It usually stems from your childhood, you know, whether you had a loving and supportive childhood versus unsupportive or you know, unloving childhood, you know, that matters on the level of fear of rejection you have. But the point is that, you know, when you're in the present moment, if you just really focus on what I like to do when I first started is I really focus on the person's eyes, just really look deep into the person's eyes and really connect with the person at a deep level instead of like looking what's behind their words, instead of just trying to listen to their words and then trying to think of what you're going to say next. Like, really just engage in the conversation 100%. Try to listen to the tone of voice, you know, their facial expressions, their gestures, all these different types of body languages that they can make in the present moment. If you can focus on that, and just go up to talking to anybody, just saying, hey, this is another human being just like me. This isn't like a super attractive female or super attractive male or someone I'm really intimidated by because he has so much more money than I do or is way more successful or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just another human being just like you.
Yeah.
So go up and talk to the person. Not a big deal. This person could be the person, the love of your life. You never know.
Yep.
So.
You got to make that first move, man. And I think whenever we're talking about being authentic and being vulnerable, and we look at the celebrities, or we look at people who just have a seat of authority or a place of position, it makes it that much more harder for them to say that they're struggling or to say that they need help. And I just remember of like even being like a leader in the church years ago, and I was looked at to be this super spiritual guy or whatever. You don't want to admit that you are going through stuff or you need help because everything's riding on it. You're going to kill their vision of you, of being the super spiritual guy or the guy who has everything together. But little do you know, I'm dealing with depression. I have thoughts of suicide. Like, I need help. I need to confess this and talk to someone about this. But so that's just like in a small church level, right? And different seats of authority and power and leadership. You look at Chester Bennington or these people who have a lot. It's going to make headlines. Chester Bennington battling depression. They don't want that stuff out there for the general public. So for them to have to admit that, they have a lot riding on that. Maybe album sales will drop. Maybe this, maybe that. Maybe they won't get booked. They'll lose the gig if Tom Cruise comes out and says what he's really dealing with or whatever the case is, And so people who have a lot of people looking to them, we see it a lot with pastors, man. And if you don't deal with it, it's going to get you. Like, you need to talk to somebody. You really do, because we see these pastors, man, over mega churches who are like out there doing crystal meth with teenage boys and having extramarital relationships with young boys and stuff. And like, that has to start somewhere. Like, it just doesn't like, it was a snake at first, and now it's a dragon. So you got to deal with it, because sin, the Bible says that like whenever it's full grown, it gives birth to death, man. But if you can nip it when it's small, man, don't entertain it and deal with that stuff that's not healthy, or it's gonna. If you don't deal with it, it's gonna deal with you.
Yep.
Your addictions, whatever.
Yeah, because once you the thing is, the trick is really just once you start feeling it, once you start recognizing, once you're consciously aware, like, okay, this is what's really going on.
Yeah.
Talk about it, write about it. If you don't want to talk to anyone about it, that's okay. You can grab a journal, grab a piece of paper, just write down like what's really going on in your head, and then just get it out, get your thoughts out, whatever you have to do. You got to just change that, because a lot of things will manifest once you realize that once you start opening up, a lot of things change, a lot of things happen. You realize you'll be able to connect more deeply with other people. Like, for instance, all my relationships have gone from more superficial, like portraying this person that I wanted them to view me as, like this really positive guy who's always really successful, makes a lot of money, writes books. That's what they thought of me. But no, I'm really not. I'm just a human being. I go through struggles like everybody else does.
Yeah.
But
that other side of you is still a part of you, though. But it's not like, it's not you. All of it's a part of you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing.
Right.
That's
the whole picture.
You have to be open with that, instead of like selling them a persona or selling them this false vision, this false narrative, and be okay with it. It took a long time for me, man. I remember when it's just, it was a big thing where I started like playing Pokemon Go with my family and doing gaming videos and tutorial videos with my daughter and just all kind of fun stuff that I love. And then here's this vision that people had of me of being some guru or whatever, which I am. I'm a guru, but I'm also a guru who loves to play Pokemon Go with my family and do silly videos and play video games. So to like not show the audience that side of you, I had to like split it. It was different personalities, man, but all of that is a part of me. So it's like, all or nothing, you know what I'm saying? And not be scared to be authentic and be who you really are, or to say what you like or you enjoy. That's a big thing, especially, I deal with a lot of people coming out of religion. I came out of it myself, and you have to be this. And if you step out of line, you're done. So you're like, oh God, I can't be depressed. We used to go to church and people would greet you at the door and they say, how you doing today, brother? And we'll say, I'm blessed and highly favored. You know what I'm saying? And everybody would repeat that. That's like it still goes on now. Go to church and you'll hear it. And, but really on the inside, you feel like you can't say, I'm struggling with my beliefs. I'm contemplating suicide. I'm depressed. You can't walk in. You really want to know how I'm doing? Or is that just some kind of cordial, how you doing? And you expect me to say blessed or highly favored? Really, I can't be open with you guys and tell you guys that I'm flirting with blowing my head off. You know what I'm saying? Deep stuff.
Right. And then the crazy, it's really wild because, a lot of times when I did become more open and vulnerable and authentic, I realized that a lot of people I showed so much appreciation, and they began to do it too. They began to be more open about like what's really going on in their lives. And by doing this, I feel like we can actually save lives by being more authentic and talking with people who will actually listen, the people who love you. Even people that you don't even know. I mean, it's more risky, of course, if you talk to somebody that you haven't had a past connection with. But I mean, the reality is so many people want to help out. Like our society, as human beings, we want to help out at one another. We love each other, and it's important for us to be authentic and connect with one another. Because, by doing this, we'll feel a sense of belonging, a sense of connection, and people will feel like when you share, they can share about themselves too. So that's another great feeling.
Yeah, man. You pull it out of people. You pull the best out of them. I don't think it's an option. I do think it's mandatory, man. I think that eventually you have to get over the facade of painting this picture or selling the people the false image of yourself, or creating this character that's not really you. I do think that true personal freedom, spiritual freedom, is being authentic and being vulnerable. I think it comes with the territory. I would see people doing this and they would pull it out of me. And I talk about this, man. I would get jealous. I would get envious that this person could have all of these different likes. And we mentioned Joe Rogan before we went live, checking out his podcast. And Joe Rogan kind of did that to me a little bit, because he could talk about this, then he can talk about that, then he can be okay with this, and then all of these subjects that make up the entity Joe Rogan, all of it, the depression, whatever. But being okay with all of it. Yeah, I like UFC. Yeah, I like meditation. I like to fight, and I like to meditate and be spiritual and do mushrooms or whatever, and be okay with that. And there's other people in my life. One of them was John Illuminati Congo, good friend of mine. He's a guru. He's into meditation, but he'll also cuss you out. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's just who he is. And to see these people be their authentic self, it would move me to envy, but in a good way, to like, man, I want to find out who I am and just be that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of compartmentalize, okay, to this person I have to be this, and to that person I have to be that. There's time and place for that in business and relationship and becoming all things to all men, but it's still all coming from the self. It's all coming from you. It's all a part of you.
Yes. Yeah. It's like striving to be something, like Joe Rogan a lot. I mean, I look up him too. It's amazing how authentic he is, he just like, doesn't care, doesn't care what other people think. He's just like himself. And that's great. Like that's the ultimate goal of where I would love to be. I'm working towards that, and I know you're working towards that. Like a lot of people in this world are working towards that, and I think it's amazing, and people admire that so much.
Yeah,
and that's like, and in our society, because it's crazy. Because if you look at other cultures such as Russia, India, Japan, even some of the Southeastern European countries, a lot of their cultures are more interdependent. Whereas the U.S. and Western societies, like the UK and some Australia, are more independent. Like they're very like, they have to do it alone. They have to create a level of success by themselves. And without a community, all their emotions are stemmed from their own thoughts, you know, as opposed to interdependent places where they believe that one person's emotion is also based on what other person's actions, like you know, where it's not 100% your fault if you're feeling a certain way, which is interesting.
Which I think is true.
Yeah, no, I think it's 100% true.
Yeah.
but a lot of our society in the U.S. is be like, no, you can do it on your own. You need to do it by yourself. Figure this shit out on your own and get over it. You know?
There's some things that you have to kind of reason within yourself and go on that inward journey of what you want for yourself and for your life, and nobody's going to make that happen. But we need support systems. We need our tribe. No man is an island. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have that, one would be provided for you. You know, we plug in what we're doing, Discord. You need to connect with like-minded people. And if somebody's listening to this, they're listening for a reason to connect. And just to have people to roll ideas off of. I'm not crazy, am I? Have you guys ever felt this? I'm getting messages right now on Facebook. And
oh yeah.
I need to talk to you about aliens and in the third eye. And the guy's like, I go into the woods and I feel like something's trying to contact me. What do I do? Like, who do you go to? Do you go to your pastor? Do you go to your parents? Who do you go to for that? So, like, us being open with these weird conversations or whatever, you become a beacon and you attract those type of people just to let them know, look, you're not crazy. Other people have had similar things happen to them, and you're going to be okay. So you have people to roll ideas off of. When I was, you know, having my awakening, having kooky experiences and stuff, like, I needed somebody to talk to, and I didn't have anybody. So I went on podcasts. I listened to interviews where people were talking about spirituality and spiritual experiences and stuff. The same thing with achieving your dreams. How do you do that? How do I create this life that I want for myself? How do I be authentic? Okay, we're going to give you tips. We're just simply going to let you know what works for us. And we've been working with other people, such as yourself, working with clients, helping them to be authentic, giving them tips, how to be mindful. You know what I'm saying? All of these, there's practices you can do to pull your conscious awareness back to the present moment, breathing techniques and things like that. And it's so powerful. That's the only moment that we have. We're not promised tomorrow. All we have is right now.
Mm-hmm.
That word, I can't take that back. That word, that sentence I just said, I can't take it back. But we're creating in the moment, in the now, and being present and understanding what that is.
Amen, brother. That's so right. You know, and it's all about the present moment, man. It's just enjoy what you have, because we're not promised tomorrow. We don't know if a meteor will drop on the U.S. next, tomorrow. We don't know. But the reality, you brought up some really good points, because we all think things that are weird or wrong or that we don't want to talk about. We all think that. But the reality is there's all types of people that think weird thoughts all around the world. Every thought that you've had, somebody else has had that thought 100 other times. You know what I mean? Like, you're not as weird as you think you are. Like, everybody has crazy thoughts. And the thing is, like, another thing I want to talk about it with emotions is that, like, people that are bilingual and trilingual, or just people that speak other languages, and have more, they're shown to have more emotional intelligence because they feel like different people when they're speaking different languages. So it's crazy, because what happens is you can feel the thoughts that you're having there may not be a word for how you're feeling in the English language, but that way you're feeling is like a common word in Portuguese or in Italian.
Yep.
So if you can speak other languages, it's a whole new door to recognizing your emotions and understanding, like, okay, this is actually normal. I feel this way. This is how I feel. So, okay, I'm going to deal with it. No, I'm normal.
Yeah, man. It's like that too with, like, breaking down, like, the Greek and Hebrew, understanding the Bible and trying to break that down, like the different levels of love. We'll say, I like you or I love you, and that's pretty much all we got. But when you break that word love down in the Greek, there's like 7 or 8 different levels of love: agape, phileo, And it's these different levels. Like, okay, I love you as a friend. I love you as a brother. I love you like you're my child. I love you or I love you as an intimate lover, like my spouse. Like, there's all these different levels, but you only get the word love. But in the other languages, they have all of these different breakdowns for that type of emotion, man. And it gets really deep. It's beautiful when, especially when you're looking into that, you know what I'm saying? The different levels of it. So.
Yeah, I like that. I like hearing that. That's so true. So true. Have you ever heard of a guy named Gaber Mate? He was on the Tim Ferriss podcast.
I'm not sure right off.
Yeah. So he's a really, really impressive individual. He's basically worked with people that have dealt with addictions for many years, addictions and depression, because, a lot of times people who are depressed get dependent on addictions. They're really closely tied together. But, one thing he says that, like, if we can change our society in a way that where our parents and teachers were given like the education and support needed to help their children meet their children's basic needs for like expressing their emotions or understanding the basic needs for connection and attachment, way less adults would be experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder. Because a lot of people are dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder because that starts from the childhood, because they're not able to actually understand emotions, understand connection, understand how important an attachment is to their parents and children. And a lot of times, like I was saying, like a lot of without being able to handle our traumas that often happen as a child, we turn to addictions or become ill or become sick or become depressed. A lot of things like that.
Those childhood relationships, man, are powerful. And like bring it into like a spiritual sense. A lot of people look at God, their view of this father figure God, with the way that they had their relationship with their parents. If they, every time they messed up, every time they dropped something in the house or broke something or whatever, their parent was ready to beat them or slap them or come down upon them. They have this idea of God, that God is ready to punish you every time you mess up, every time you do something wrong, that God is, I told you not to do that. Why did you do it? You know what I'm saying? And so they project that with their relationship with the Creator, man. And so many people have done that, and they come from broken homes and broken relationships and stuff. And so for me, I think the power is like the opposite, like this God figure being what your parents weren't. You know what I'm saying? Like giving you what they couldn't give you or what they didn't give you. You know what I'm saying? So you can connect with Source, your God, and get what you needed that you weren't nurtured or when you were a child. You know what I'm saying? And kind of right the wrongs there,
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And I feel like, I think all of our parents do the best that they know how to do. I believe that. But also, like you're saying, like I feel like you're talking about shame. Like, and a lot of times shame does start in childhood, but a lot of times also shame is never healed. And that's one of the things that causes people to be unwilling to be vulnerable and open and authentic, because they've been shamed in the past before, or they feel guilty if they talk about certain things, and it's a huge blockage to being open and vulnerable and sharing your thoughts and being emotionally open, and the first thing is really to start looking at what you think of yourself in regards to your worthiness. Are you worthy? Do you feel like you're worthy of love? Do you feel like you're worthy of support and good things in your life? Do you feel worthy? And then if you, for some reason, you don't feel worthy, like many people in the U.S. don't feel worthy. Many people in the world don't feel worthy of love.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which is really sad. It's true, because I was in that boat before. I felt like I wasn't worthy of love. I feel like I never find the love of my life, but thank God I did.
It projects to God too. How can God love me? Do you know what I've done? Do you know what I've done, and those secrets and those weird thoughts that I've had and those things that I've done that nobody knows about? There's no way God can love me. So there's that level there of not, not feeling worthy. And you know what I'm saying? And some people never get over that. It's hard to communicate that grace to them, or the love that's there is tangible for them, that they like never make it to that level, because they can never get over the shame and the things that they've done. Which shame could be used as a good thing. Like that emotion's there for a reason, that you feel bad or feel guilty when you did something wrong, not when you didn't do something wrong. So you don't want that feeling to come back again. You don't ever want to feel that way again. If you lie, if you steal, you know, you actually blush. You show red in the face when you're ashamed, and you blush, and you can't hide it. Before God, you stole, and you can't hide it because your face is red. You know what I'm saying? And so you're gonna tell that's that shame there that's used for good reasons, that we don't, you know, want to feel that way. So we should never get used to the shame or be okay with feeling that way. You know?
Right. Yeah, every emotion is there for a reason, really. And the thing is, like, also when you're jumping into embracing vulnerability, it's like recognizing when you're resisting it, because a lot of times we try to like dodge our emotions. We try to not really feel what we're feeling. You know, and a lot of times we'll either change the subject, or you know, we'll like when someone asks us a personal question about how we're feeling, you know, sometimes we get irritated or angry, you know, and then we got to ask ourselves, like, okay, what was that about? Why are we irritated? Why are we angry? You know, sometimes we'll get really distracted when they ask you emotional questions, like but these are the things that really matter, like questions based on emotions. And I know a lot of men that like never want to talk about emotions. I mean, they'll deflect it. They'll be like, oh, I'm all good. Don't bother me. How are you feeling? You know,
not wanting to cry and stuff like that. I remember, I remember talking about church with people, especially guys who were in the prison system, because I used to work with inmates, and we used to greet each other with a hug. And you know, in the scriptures, they greeted each other with a kiss. You know what I'm saying? But whenever we seen one another, we would hug. We give each other a dap, and then bring it in for the hug. And and I would talk to people who have never had that connection, and like, what I want another man hugging me for, and they couldn't, like, that connection there was like a bad, vulnerable connection that you're embraced by another man, even just with a hug. You know what I'm saying? And they can't fathom that that connection, man. Yep.
It's amazing. It's amazing. What a powerful effect it can actually have on people, because one of the most important things about connection is actually the human touch. When you're touching another human being, all kinds of different hormones, emotions are released in your body, and it's an incredible thing.
Holding babies, you know what I'm saying?
Holding babies, I mean,
premature babies, they have people on staff that go down there and just hold them, and they're connecting with them energetically and giving love to them. There's a really good documentary. A lot of people give it flack because the first one was so crazy, but it's the Zeitgeist documentary, right? The second one, there's the Zeitgeist Moving Forward, and it goes into a lot of detail about the human touch and holding babies, and people who don't get that from children, who don't get that from their parents, and dads never touched them, doesn't hug them, those type, and you're not getting what you're supposed to be getting from that love, and it's passed on. Like, there's some kind of connection there. But Zeitgeist Moving Forward is the second one. Make sure y'all watch that.
That's good. I'll check that out too. I'll check that out. Yeah, but that's so important. You know, I mean, getting love, if you have the opportunity to be loved by both your parents, that's such an important thing. It can make your life a world of a difference.
I mean, look at a lot of the women who are like in the prostitution, not even prostitution. You can go there, but you can even just say women who are very promiscuous. A lot of times they're looking for that comfort from the male figure that they didn't get from their father. You know, it's not every case, but I would say the majority. They didn't have a good relationship with their father.
Yeah, it's important, you know. And it all ties in together. It's all like related, you know. But the reason the woman is like that is, generally speaking, because of the relationship with the father. You know, that was lacking, that was missing.
I would see different, like, coming up, like my brothers and my grandfather and my cousins, their relationships with women was unhealthy. Like, they were physically abusive, verbally abusive, and it was normal in a house full of people to slap your girlfriend, slap your wife, beat her around, cuss her out, do all this weird stuff. And I was like, this can't be right. And like, if you don't stop that cycle or learn that that's wrong, you can easily, your grandfather, your dad, you know what I'm saying? And you're next. So you have to like stop that generational curse, as it's called, or kind of learn from the mistakes of others moving forward, man. Really.
Yeah, because the change is up to you. I mean, you're the only one that can really change your generational lineage. You know, if your dad did it or your grandpa did it, you know, you're the one that has the choice to actually stop doing that, because it's not right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clearly not right. It's only causing more hurt.
But it's like dealing with it when it's little. You have to, because if you don't, it becomes a habit. And it's okay to do this. It's okay to cheat. It's okay to flirt with other women, even though you're married. Like, it becomes okay, then it becomes a problem. Then you go outside of your marriage or whatever the case is. And so you have to catch this stuff when it's young, man, to be successful in anything. Because we talk about like building an empire, building a podcast, building a ministry, whatever you're trying to build. Like there's a lot of stuff that you have to take with you over into that. You can't just like show up. And I was talking with a friend of mine, Adam Starseed, yesterday in the Discord. And like, what if you had a ministry, but then you blow up on people all the time, or you curse someone out and you're like a minister or whatever? Like, that's not going to look good. You're going to build this huge platform and then you're going to blow it because someone called you a name, or somebody stole from you, or somebody did something that triggered you, that pulled you out of your character. So in building whatever we're trying to build moving forward in a career or whatever, there's things that you have to take with you. There's lessons you have to learn, and you have to go through these testings and trials and things. And I personally believe that they're ordered by God, man, that God is like carefully setting up these situations. The plane crash, something that was, you know what I'm saying, devastating from your family. You learned you took something from it to go back, come out with a place of gratitude to, hey, I'm thankful. I could have died. I could have, you know, and so I'm thankful for every breath this side of the crash. You know what I'm saying? And so you approach life with this level of gratitude, man, and to learn from everything in our lives, and not just the good stuff. We all can glory and thank God in the good stuff, but can you do it in the bad? Can you do it, you know, when things don't go your way? And I've been talking with people posting status updates and stuff on Facebook, and a friend of mine said he thanks God for everything good in his life. I thank God for all the bad stuff too. And like, no, I wouldn't thank God for bad stuff. And it's like, no, I need the bad stuff sometimes more than the good stuff. And the power is that you still have that gratitude when things aren't. That's when you need it, man. You need it when everything's, you know what I'm saying, turned upside down and you don't know what's coming tomorrow. If not, you're going to be a victim, man. You're going to be, I hate to throw it out there, you're going to be a Chester Bennington. You're going to be an Anthony Bourdain when the struggles and trials in life that piles up on you, man. You know what I'm saying? You have to learn. Each and every one of us has to be able to learn from their folly. When I'm going through it, I need to talk to somebody, man. I can't keep this stuff in. I'm a freak out if I keep this stuff in. You know what I'm saying?
Totally, man. Yeah, that's such a good point. I love that. You know, I can't even remember hearing that before, but being grateful for the bad stuff that happens to you, because that's where the lessons are, you know, really about everything. If you always had good stuff happen to you, you'd never learn anything.
Yeah.
All the bad stuff is where you learn stuff. You grow as a person, you get stronger, you know, and you're able to actually create who you want to be in those moments, because those are the trials and those are the things that God gives you. God never gives you anything that you can't handle.
Yep.
God knows what you can handle. And that's so true, man. Be grateful for everything that happens to you, you know, be grateful to be alive, be grateful for the plane crash, for what you learned what I learned from the plane crash. Be grateful for, you know, everything. I mean, there's so much to be grateful for in this life. And that's where the magic is, bro. It really is. That's the power of creativity, to be able to approach it like that. And remember to be grateful, though. It's just like, you're right, you know, because when you're grateful, you can only be in the present moment. Like when you're feeling the sense of gratitude inside your body, like, I'm grateful to be here talking to you. You know, just feel that. Just like, It's an amazing feeling. I'm grateful to have my computer to actually be able to talk to you.
Where we go next. Yeah, man. Creating
Yeah,
it, dude.
yeah, create the gratitudes. It's just incredible.
A part of
Yeah,
like going through the trials and going through the darkness and being okay with it and being grateful and thankful for it is like you're not going to appreciate the light. Like if you're born and the light's always on, you're not going to be appreciative of it unless you ever had to do time or go to a place where there was no light. There was only darkness. And then someone turns out the light. Just think if we're doing this interview and the lights cut out, we can't see anything, even in the room or whatever, the power cuts out. When there's people who are born with it and they just expect it to show up. They just expect the light to be there. But if you're in a place of darkness and someone turns on the light, you're appreciative of that light. And you know what I'm saying, how marvelous that light is. And the greater the darkness, the more magnificent the light is. You know what I'm saying? And those who are forgiven much, love much. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't think like, I think that those people who have been, like I said, forgiven of a lot, who have been down through there. I got friends who have amazing, crazy stories. Yours as well, man, coming from places of darkness and places where you probably should have given up. You probably should have threw in the towel, but you didn't. You know what I'm saying? And so now you're that level of gratitude that you approach life with and are able to be that light to others, not just to you're like a moon. You reflect the light, man. You bring that light into dark places and people who are asking questions and people who need help with life. This thing is tricky, man. This thing is tricky. Just turn the television on. Everybody's got the truth. Everybody has the answers, and they're all telling you different things. Somebody's lying. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tricky to kind of navigate through this thing.
It is. I mean, life is definitely hard. You're gonna get so many challenges, and like you said, man, so many people take things for granted. I mean, I'm so grateful to even we have electricity, that we have light, like you're saying. You know, I mean, it's incredible, and we're all in this thing called life together. Like we're all in this. We got to be there for one another. We can't just, say screw you. You know, it's all like we're all together. We got to be more connected, more interconnected, like other communities are. Like that'll make such a world of a difference in our level of happiness. And even if you talk. Even like speaking highly of people that you dislike, even if you start speaking highly of people you don't even know, or people that you normally speak lowly of, once you start changing your dialogue, your thoughts and the way you feel about yourself will totally change too.
Powerful.
So always important to speak positive of other people,
Man, I remember when I was into like the conspiracy theories, I got really deep into conspiracy theory, 9/11, Alex Jones, and just, researching it all. It was all, you know what I'm saying, the moon landing, the government's lying, this and that. And there's not an end and there's not a shortage of conspiracy theories. And it will mess with you. It will mess with you. The RFID chip, people are going to be kidnapped from their homes and placed in FEMA camps and FEMA coffins, and the presidents are selected and they're not elected, they're fake, and just all of the crazy conspiracy stuff. There's some truth to a lot of it, but when you start thinking about all of this negativity and everybody's out to get you, it creates this weird mindset for you. And I remember, and I don't, not that this is right or maybe it's showing me being vulnerable, but I remember consciously making myself pray for maybe George Bush, who I had watching all of this bad stuff on. Not that, like, to pray for him. Not that I literally thought my prayer would like change his heart or whatever the case is or whatever it did, but for what it did for me, to someone I was talking down on and researching all of this family history, and this guy is plotting this and they're behind all of this stuff, or Obama or whatever the case is, like to go to my prayer closet and pray a prayer for their family, that God would use them. You know what I'm saying? And for the first time, because I that wasn't a practice that I did. I'm researching all this negative stuff about these guys and how these guys are demonic and crazy conspiracy stuff. But once I seen them in a different light, consciously seen them, I came out of that weird conspiracy darkness that I was in, and I was able to kind of move further in my spiritual walk, have beautiful thoughts on my mind versus looking for the bad signs in everything, the juju, there's a Illuminati symbolism, there's a demon here, there's a demon there, all of this kind of stuff, to really be able to start enjoying life and not being freaked out all the time. A lot of people out there are freaked out, man. It's just into all of this crazy stuff because there's no end of it. You're never going to get to the bottom of it and say, aha. And if you do, then what are you going to do with it? I'm just going to inform people. I'm going to wake people up. There's really no means to the end. And it's really about enjoying your life, bringing light into the darkness and being there for people and helping people, find God or whatever the case is. And people, like, I have friends who are like evangelists. They go out and they minister, they beckon people to come to God and stuff. And they want me to do that. I used to do that. I used to be on street corners preaching and all this kind of stuff. And they say, I'm missing God because I'm not doing that. And I just say, look, only thing I can do is simply show the same grace that has been shown to me, to others. For those who have never experienced that has the power to change their life. The good news is that there is grace and that there is love and that there is hope. And you're not at the end of the rope. There's more. You know what I'm saying? And there is forgiveness and there is sovereignty and all of these things. And being an expression of that versus just running out to a street corner, shouting it out. I'm going to embody it. I'm going to be it in the world, in my day-to-day life, and just be an expression of that light and love, man. And I think that's what it's about for me, man. Let me ask you this. Yes. We're coming up towards the end of the show. You got a new book out, and it has a really interesting title, provocative title, but I think it embodies a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. Talk a little bit about the new book and your inspiration behind that, man. It's really, really interesting. Go ahead and share the name as well.
Totally. Yeah. So this is my new book. It's called Unzip Your Pants: How to Be Vulnerable in an Effed Up World. So I know it's a crazy title, but initially what I wanted it to be for men aged like 25 to age 50, because I want to stir some curiosity. I want them to be like, oh my God, this is like not a book that's titled Unzip Your Heart or Vulnerability and Depression. Oh, I'm going to grab that. I'm going to read that. Vulnerability again. But I wanted men to read this book, because I feel like, the truth is that 7 or 8 out of 10 suicides are men. So clearly men need a lot of help, and vulnerability is where it all starts. Vulnerability and connection. That's what men especially need more of. Women naturally are better at this. Women naturally are able to connect and be more emotional and be more sharing and loving with each other, and no more nurturing. That's just the way they're wired, where women are wired, which is amazing. But men aren't really wired that way. Men have to work at it. Men have to really figure out how to listen, how to understand, really what they're feeling, how to understand, how to recognize emotions, especially if they don't speak multiple languages, as I discussed before. So I went on this venture and just I did a ton of research based on because, like I said, it all started when I was afraid to be vulnerable and open up, because I was afraid of being embarrassed. I didn't want to, look stranger than my persona had always portrayed as this positive, like successful guy, who's done so much with his life. Yeah. That's the part of that is true, but there's a whole other side, and that's the vulnerable side, which is the authentic, the true, the genuine part of who you really are, who I really am. What I'm actually facing, what really matters is my emotions and the things that I've been through in my life, but that I can use as lessons that I can help other people learn from. And so I'm using this my vulnerability as a lesson that I learned that I can now teach you and other your listeners, that there is so much power in being vulnerable, so much freedom and ability to get in the present moment, which is really where it all matters. When you begin to be vulnerable and share what's really going on with the people you love, instead of, you don't have to announce it to the whole world on social media if you don't want to. You can, but you don't have to. But yeah, that was the inspiration behind my book. So it came out about a couple of days ago, and I'm really proud of it. I've gotten a lot of really good feedback. It's for sale on Amazon, so definitely check it out if this conversation got you interested in anything. Also, can I talk a little bit about my other book?
Sure thing.
Cool. My other book I read about 3 years ago is called How to Live in the Present Moment, Let Go of the Past and Stop Worrying About the Future. This was a book. This was, I know we talked a little bit about the present moment in this conversation, but like I was saying, the present moment is really where everything is at, where the freedom is at, where the peace of mind is at, where you actually do feel peaceful in a really grateful, peaceful, loving place where you can be. You know, and interestingly enough, our minds, it seems like we're designed to think about the future and the past, and not so much about staying in the present, which is like a challenge. But in the book, I basically walk through different techniques of how you can get in the present moment through meditation, yoga, different conversations, such as connecting deeply with the person's words, what's behind the words, things like that. So.
Yeah, man. There's got to be something to it. We look at somebody like Eckhart Tolle, who, you know, his work's dedicated to being in the now, in the moment. And this guy's a millionaire. Something's working about being present and being in the moment. And we like to talk about meditation or psychedelic encounters or just having a dream. I feel like those things seem like they're in the future. I feel like we go through the meditation practice or the psychedelic journey and we grab them and we bring them into the now moment. And not so much that you're going into the future, because it's already in you. It's already a part of you. It's already in you now. Because if it's in the future, then we have to wait for something to manifest. We have to wait for something. But if it's within us, we can birth it. We can create it because it's already locked within us, man. And that was like a deep revelation that I came to. You're not waiting for something to happen. You're not waiting for something outside of you, but everything's within. The universe is within. The kingdom of heaven is within you. You need nothing outside yourself. You don't need to go here or do this. Things help. There's events. There's gurus. There's people that are designed to help us, but if they're a real leader, they're going to teach you how to do these techniques yourself, to go within, to manifest it. And that's where I've seen the most power and the most fruit, and to be able to start seeing those visions, that person that I want to be, the relationships I want to have, the goals that I want to achieve. A vision without action is merely a dream. Kevin Gates.
Right.
True.
100%, man. You're right. And now today, I mean, look at how much help people need. Like, there's so many people that need help. I mean, think of how many things have been designed now just to help people, like psychedelics. Like, there's huge medical research on the power of ayahuasca, for instance. Like, if it's held in the right ceremony with the right shaman, you know, this can potentially decrease depression, help out with addiction. Like, a lot of studies have been shown for doing that. And like even different psychedelic things like that, like help with anxiety and depression, things like that.
That's what it's dealing with. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good you brought that up. Yeah. And
it's totally interesting because like these things were shunned 20 years ago. I mean, like, oh my God, you know, don't talk about that ever, you know. But now it's into more cultural. People are being like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation about this. This is actually working. Things like that. Another topic could be like even Qi Gong, like Eastern medicine, like Tai Chi, all these mindfulness practices to help people out with their stress, with their, with their day-to-day grind that people are struggling with so hard to stay on top of.
Yeah. You got to get that out the way first, man. And that's so beautiful. You're you know what I'm saying? You had that link there, is that the ayahuasca, the psilocybin, you know what I'm saying? Even the meditation helps you to deal with the stress. Once that's out of the way, then we can be present. And it's a really awesome idea to understand that we have to deal with that stuff first moving forward. That's a big thing.
Yeah, yes, do that. And then like in my book, How to Live in the Present Moment 2.0, I talk about this is the kind of the algorithm I like to use. 80% of your life, live in the present moment, enjoy what's going on. 10%, use 10% in the past to learn from, and the other 10% in the future to kind of set your dreams, set your goals. You know, that's the algorithm I like to use. It's not always that easy to do, but that's the algorithm that's good to keep at the back of your mind.
Yeah, man. There's a scripture, it says that Jesus says, be anxious for nothing. And when you're anxious, when you're waiting and anticipating something to happen, you're outside of yourself. And I learned that years ago with, like, when I was in a band, we'd have concerts and stuff, and it was new and exciting, but I would spend all of my subconscious time thinking of this event, how this concert's going to be grand, and can't wait for it to happen. And it's easy to book stuff months in advance, weeks in advance, and your mind is always thinking about the events and how's it going to be. I'm going to make memories, I'm going to do all this, but you're not present because your mind is at this later event that you're anticipating. And then it kind of came to me because we would do the event and it wasn't as good as I had dreamed it in my mind. Like, it was more fun thinking about it because it came and went. Man, I was looking forward to this for months, and now it's here and gone, and it wasn't as good. So I was like, look, I can't. I was aware that I spent all of that time thinking about this thing that just came and went. And then therefore you have the next thing on the calendar. Oh man, this is going to be fun. We're going to see this, or we got a vacation. We're going to Disney. Oh man, Christmas is coming up. Oh God. And you're just outside of yourself versus bringing that awareness into the now moment where all the relationships are, where the power is, where creativity is, where your tribe is, your people are, man. They're in the now moment. They don't, that the future doesn't exist. It will never exist. The past is, you can't change it. You can't take it back. It's only the present moment, and learning the tricks of the trade and the techniques. And I look at it like universal law. I think there's rules to this game we're playing called life. Many of us are playing the game by default. We're in the game and we don't understand the rules. Just like if you were just to show up at a random board game and just start playing, and you're just like moving stuff around and knocking stuff over. You have no idea. But I say, look, this is what you got to do. This person does this. This does this. This does this, and then we can win. We can make stuff happen together. As you understand the rules. I think they're we look into Eastern thought, like you're talking about. We look into these mindfulness practices. I think we can look into, all the laws of other cultures and see what was working for them. The laws of Ma'at. You look into the law of Moses. You look into the 7 Hermetic principles. All of these things about vibration and time and being mindful, man. And it's all there. Something is there. Something's going on. But when we learn that, man, and we become consciously aware and bring it into the now moment and try to start doing some of these things, I guarantee you things will happen. You'll start to see change. Right.
I agree 100%, man. Right. And also another thing I just want to mention is like when you're in the future, you have all these expectations, kind of like when you were talking about your band, you had these expectations of what it was going to be like, but the problem is that expectations often crush the present moment. Because the present moment is never the exact same as it's expected to be.
Yeah.
So you got to learn how to enjoy the present moment and let go of your expectations.
Yeah, that's, and that's kind of coupled with the celebrity thing. And there's a statement a lot of people are saying, don't meet your idols, the people you look up to. Like, it'll ruin it for you if you meet them, because you have this otherworldly expectation, and it's probably false, most likely false, because you believe that person is who they are on their songs. You don't think that person goes to the bathroom or just a regular person like you that puts their pants on one leg at a time. And they tell you don't meet your idols, man, because you'll be let down. And when I started doing like the spiritual hip hop type stuff, man, I was head over heels for a lot of these guys. I was flattered by their art and the spirituality and what they brought to the table. But little did I know that these dudes the majority of these guys weren't spiritual people. It's like a fairy tale. It's like fantasy hip hop. They're like rapping other people's stories and other people's lives. And here I am listening to this music about meditation and Tibetan monks and chanting and astral traveling and taking ayahuasca, and I'm like, man, these dudes are deep, man. These dudes got this knowledge, and I meet them, and they're like, nah, we don't meditate. Nah, we just, every other word's a curse word, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so let down by these guys. I wish I would have never met them. And then they're buttholes, you know, they're rude, they don't live by spiritual practices, but in their music, they're these really awesome dudes. And so I've tried to be authentic with that in my life, because like the stuff I rap about, I try to practice, but even that though, like people meet you and they're let down. I had someone come to I had a bunch of people, man, this because of the podcast and my music is getting a lot bigger. I had my last album release party. I had people drive from all over the country to come down to be with us. We was at somebody's house. We did a house party for an album release party, and people drove 12 hours, 10 hours, 14 hours. It was insane. One dude drove and didn't even get to meet me. He drove on the wrong day. The dude drove 12, 14 hours on the wrong day. We're gonna meet, brother, if you're listening. But and so, but they have an expectation, like they're coming to meet a holy man, or they're coming to meet. I'm a regular guy. I'm walking around. I'm having a beer, celebrating with my friends and family, and they have this expectation of you, or that when I meet, it's gonna be grand, or this person is gonna do this, or they're something else, you know. And so they say, don't meet the people you look up to, man. Don't meet your idols. But then other people will say, you know what, I'll meet my idols. Or I worry about that. I worried about, meeting a bunch of, I'm available, man. You know what I'm saying? And I've met a lot of people here in the chat. We hang out. I'm open. And but it's kind of good to be let down, though, right? To be pulled off of that pedestal and say, look, I'm human. Like what I'm doing, you can do. We're in this together. I'm not greater than anybody. I started a podcast. I love my podcast. It's awesome. I get to talk to awesome people. But guess what? You can too. You can do it too. You want to write a rap album? You want to do whatever I'm talking about in the CD? You can do too. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And so it's a weird dichotomy there. What would you say, man? Have you ever met a celebrity or met someone and you were let down after? You're like, man, I thought this guy.
Yeah. I have actually. I've met a few celebrities, and I was let down because I went in there going with these expectations. I was like, oh my God, this guy's like a god. This guy's like the best of the best, But these expectations were what ruined it all, because if you go in there with thinking that, like, okay, this person's human just like me. He's no better, no worse than me. He's just a human being. If you go in there with that perspective, then it's like, okay, cool. He is what he is. And that's it. He is what he is. He's not like this or that God or someone super, powerful.
It's still scary, man.
Yeah.
It's still scary because you want this person to be, it's so funny. It's even like the Bible and stuff. Like when people read it, they interpret like what they want it to say. That doesn't really say that, right? That says something. It's actually a slap in the face if you read that verse. Like, no. Yeah. It's not. It's good. Like there's some bad stuff in there too. No. The bad stuff don't exist. Nope, it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Yeah. It's weird expectations of what it is going to be like versus being in the moment. And even the celebrity thing, they tell you don't get caught up. Even on the inside, if you're like, oh my God, this is the person I've been listening to since I was a kid. Like I've been in those encounters. Like I talked to Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony, my favorite rapper. I had him on the podcast. I'm a fanboy. I was let down, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. The interview didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, but I knew what type of individual he was, though. So, it's weird. Yeah. It's weird, and we have to prepare ourselves to be let down, and it's okay. But you have to learn. You're idolizing these people, and
totally. You never know. If you go in there without expectations, the person might be more than you expected. The person might be even more awesome than you thought they would be.
Yeah.
You never know, and they might be just the person you dreamed of. Who knows? But the key is to go in there without expectations. If you can lower your expectations, I know it's really difficult to go in there with no expectations.
Yeah.
But if you go in there with like very little, like the idea of like whatever happens, have that perspective on like whatever happens.
Yeah.
He's a human being or she's a human being. Okay, cool. We'll see what happens, Then just talk.
What is it? Expect the worst, hope for the best. You don't want to expect the worst. On top of that.
I feel like that's bringing like negative energy into the picture. Yeah. So I'm like expecting the worst. I'd rather just say like have no expectations. Don't expect anything.
You'll be let down.
But hope for the best. Yeah, but hope for the best.
It was the same thing with me when I was in the bands and stuff too, because we used to throw concerts, and you know, you have a date and you're booking it and you're promoting it, and you're like, man, it's gonna be awesome, and then nobody shows up. You're like, damn. There's 7 people here, you know what I'm saying? And then we did another concert, we got 300 people, you know, and so it was just different. And so I learned as well there to, like, you put it out there, the people who were supposed to show up, the people who were supposed to be here are going to be here. And so to trust that, to do everything you do to promote, learn ways and techniques on how to do that, master your craft, whatever it is you're doing, learn ways to do it. But at the end of the day, whoever is supposed to be here, that they're going to be here. And this, even this podcast, whoever's supposed to listen, whoever's supposed to tune in, they're going to get it, you know, when they're supposed to get it. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to apply these techniques, and they're going to learn and bring it into their situation. And that's how it works. And you can never be let down by that. You say, hey, look, 7 people showed up. Okay, well, guess what? 7 people had an awesome time. 7 people, I got to meet and pour into 7 people. If 300 people would have showed up, there's no way I could have divided myself and been there for those people or with those people. So, you know what I'm saying? And just not expect the worst, but don't have any expectations, man, and just show up and be present.
Yeah, I love that perspective, though. You know, just like of the 7 people, those are the 7 people that were meant to be there, and that was it. You know, they had the most amazing experience of their life, perhaps. You know, and that's such an important way of looking at it.
Yeah,
love that.
I mean, just think though, like if we look at the concert, because it wasn't a huge concert, there was maybe 50 people there or so, and people drove from all over the country. What if those people who drove from all over the country didn't get to meet me or didn't get to shake my hand or whatever? If you go to a big, huge concert, that's not happening because there's thousands of people there. There's no way that can happen. But on a small, intimate setting like that, whatever happens, man, whatever experience was meant to be there, you got to enjoy the intimacy of something small like that, you know?
Totally.
I believe it, man. Well, go ahead and share your website, man, for people can check those books out and check out more of your work. And you also have private sessions and mentorships and a bunch of awesome stuff that you offer on your website as well. Go ahead and plug that.
Yeah, sure. That'd be awesome. My website is Roots Coaching, ROOTS COACHING, rootscoaching.com. So you can check out anything on there. I got some mindfulness information on there. I got some blogs, posts, and you can find my books on there. And also find them on Amazon.com. If you want to just search on Amazon, search my name, you can find my books. And also, you can email me. I would love to chat with you if you guys want to talk about anything, really anything under the sun. Just shoot me a message, Matt@rootscoaching.com. That's MATT@rootscoaching.com. I'd love to hear from you no matter what, where you come from, whoever you are. Love to talk. That's it.
Thanks for coming on, brother. I truly enjoyed it. We'll have to do it again, man.
Awesome. Yeah, such a good time, brother. It's such a pleasure meeting you.
All right, brother.
Thank you. All right, man.
Shalom. Peace.
Peace.
Matt Morris, ladies and gentlemen. Good stuff. It's really cool, and they make it a lot easier when you have really cool friends. And I get to interview people who are into my work or who are in my circle. And I've interviewed a bunch of my personal friends or people who have kind of come on through the podcast and just kind of joined with us or whatever. So he just hit me up just out of the blue, and I checked him out, and he had a bunch of stuff he was doing that was very similar to what I was bringing to the table. So we made that happen. So really enjoyed this podcast. That's the thing about being authentic, being vulnerable with who you are, no matter what that is. You know, they would say, I remember seeing a status update a couple weeks ago. Somebody's went on this rant and said, you can't be a Christian and be into astrology. Doesn't go together. I'm like, want to bet? I know some. You can't. See, you can't. I'll never tell somebody you can't. That's the thing. Or you can't be a Christian and like mushrooms. Yeah, you can. You can't be a Christian and be in psychedelics. Yes, you can. You can't do this. You can't be this and do that. Yes, you can. Want to bet? I'll show you. I can show you better than I can tell you. So being who you are, being who you were created to be, to have your own personal likes and dislikes. We were in Discord earlier listening to music with all my crew here. We were in Discord. If you want to join, click the link in the description. Hit me up. we were listening to music and discussing songs, and I got to show them some really cool music. And was listening, sharing some A Perfect Circle and some Tool, really powerful music when it comes to spirituality and awareness. And that was one of the big things for me, is like, as being a Christian and being in church, I couldn't be a Christian and like Tool. I couldn't be a Christian and listen to Nako. Because like these two, it like fought each other. One was this and one was that. And I had to get to this place of like, if I would just go, when I was going back and forth in my mind about who am I, what am I going to be, what am I pursuing, it was either one or the other. You couldn't be a Christian and listen to Tool. You couldn't do this. You can't do that. You can't do that. And I would go back and forth. I'd just be in the church and I'd get rid of anything that wasn't Christian in my home, video games, whatever. And it wouldn't last long, because I would feel like I was selling myself short, that this person that God created me to be, of these likes and dislikes that I have for my taste. And I would feel like I was being someone that I wasn't. I was wearing a monkey suit, playing an act. I was being a hypocrite. Hypocrite meaning wearing someone who wears a mask in a play and plays multiple characters. Because deep down, I love Tool. So the music of Tool and The Perfect Circle and Nako, Trevor Hall, Medicine for the People, like all that stuff played a huge role in me coming to grips with who I was and having likes and dislikes and being that person that God created me to be. You know, so that's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to for me, is just being authentic. It's contagious. You drive people to jealousy. Because they want what you have. The Bible says that you'll be the envy of all nations. They'll envy your relationships. They'll envy your marriage. They'll envy your knowledge, your wisdom, your freedom. Why are you free, man? When I do this, when I talk, I get convicted. I'm this. People judge me. Well, you got to move past their judgments. You got to deal with it. You got to roll with the punches. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it comes for a reason. You got to deal with it all. You can't skip any of it. So coming to grips with who you are, whatever that is, why you're here. Like, I couldn't be a Christian and be in the float tanks, or couldn't be a Christian and do yoga. That was insane. Christians don't do yoga. I'm like, wanna bet? So I haven't left Christianity. I haven't left my faith in Christ. Like, I still have a strong faith in Christ. He is my strong tower, my refuge. But as far as leaving religion, I've left that far behind, or I'm trying to. That's a process. The stages, man. It's a long, hard road out of that stuff. And not being triggered and having to be right about everything. So understanding that God loves you for who you are and made you that way. There's likes and dislikes within you, and obviously teshuvah, repent, turn from the things that are killing you. So we're not going to justify the things that are killing us and say, well, God put it on my heart. And people say, well, that's just an excuse because you don't want to change. You don't want to deal with your sin. You're just going to be okay with your sin. TruthSeekah, that's what you're saying. You want to listen to your secular music and your bad music or whatever and just be okay with it. That's what you're saying. You just want to be okay with it. No, the stuff, like, you have to have your own level of discernment. You have to know the will of God for your life, and you have to work out your own salvation, like the Bible says, with fear and trembling. Now, if you're doing that, you're on the right path. I don't care where you are in life. I don't care what setbacks or hangups that you faced or you're currently facing, man. But you reach down deep through the power of the Holy Spirit, and you do what you're supposed to do. You know what you're called to do. If you're struggling, if you feel that struggle within you to be pulled here and pulled there, I know I'm talking to somebody, because I get the messages in my inbox daily. Not just one here, one there. People reach out to me daily. It's because, why? It's because I'm being authentic. Talked about this time and time again. The reason the podcast is growing and expanding, it's because I'm being authentic, because I'm talking about this stuff. If I didn't talk about it or try to hide it from you, come on, Adam, his sin was not the fact that he ate the apple. The sin was like the fact that he tried to hide it from God. Hey man, act like we didn't do this. Act like you don't believe that. I tried to do that. I tried to act like I didn't believe a certain type of way, or just being okay with that, man. Whatever that means, come into terms, come into grips with that it's okay. Don't act like I don't believe in that. I used to do that, man. Hey y'all, I don't listen to Tool no more. I just listen to nothing but worship music. Like, trust me, man, it goes deep. It goes deep, real deep. I've dealt with it. It's the pendulum effect. I have close friends who are dealing with it. They're lashing out. They're self-sabotaging. You have to learn. You have to learn. You have to learn. You have to learn. We've been a part of book burnings. We've been mocked and made fun of for doing it. I've broken secular CDs. I ordered the LCOB CD, Zeitgeist, Spirit of the Age. I ordered that CD and I broke it on camera. I don't know if you guys know this. Most of you don't. It was back in like 2012. I ordered that CD and I broke it. And I started a campaign because I was going to go, I renounced all that stuff and I wanted to go back to Christian rap, and I felt like I was leading people astray and all of this kind of stuff, you know? So I started a campaign. It was called the Break Your CD campaign, Acts 18:18 or 19:19. And if people broke their secular CDs and filmed it, then I would send them my CDs for free. So people were filming it. They were throwing away all their CDs, and I had friends doing it, and I got all kind of video submissions and stuff, man, and breaking the CDs and being real vigilant about it. And many of us have been there, been a part of things like that. And then you come back and you say, what was I thinking? What am I doing? Then you go back. You come back and you go back. It's like a seesaw. It's like a dog chasing its own tail. You can get stuck there. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel, man. At the end of the day, one of those dogs are going to win. Whichever one you're feeding more. Whatever you're leaning towards. But I think at the end of the day that the truth remains. And you can be a Christian and like this. You can be who you are, who you're created to be. Whatever that is, man. Everybody's walk is different, but there's still those principles that apply to each and every one of us. Those principles still apply. It's universal law. It's condemnation, there's fear, there's doubt, there's worry, self-sufficiency, self-sabotage, all of this stuff that we have to learn how to deal with and learn what happens when you do that. See, part of understanding universal law, part of understanding your story and learning from your own follies, even learning from the good stuff that's working, you know, we talk about that, is learning from what other people are doing. What's working? Okay, if you do this, this gets this kind of results. If you do that, it gets this kind of results. If I lash out and condemn people and judge people openly on a platform, it gets these kind of results. And I'm going to tell you, I believe in karma. I believe that Jesus said you reap what you sow. I believe it in karma's a little different because I think karma is like lifetimes. Like what you do in this life, you're going to pay for it in another life. I think you pay for it now. I think that, be not deceived. What a man sows, he shall also reap. That's Christ. Whatever you do, it comes back to you. Pressed down, shaken, running over. It's going to come back. Whatever you're sowing into the world, whether it's positivity or judgments. And when I was going through all that stuff, man, like I used to protest, man. I used to preach on the street corners, and it wasn't a message of love. It really wasn't. It was turn or burn. It was America will be destroyed. Like it was some really out there stuff. And I would judge pastors who didn't agree with our doctrine, and we were the ones who had it all figured out. Yeah, much like your church believes that they have the only truth as far as speaking in tongues or tithing or whatever doctrinal belief it is. Many churches are all teaching different things, and they all have the exclusivity of the truth within Christianity. So that's where I come from. And we would call pastors out, man. I do music. I mean, there's music you can find where I'm talking about prosperity pimps and Creflo Dollar and TD Jakes and Benny Hinn, and we're calling these people out within our music and in teachings, and we were known for what we were against, just like many of you. People know you because they know what you're against, not what you're for. And we were known for tearing down people. You had an exposed ministry. You're out there exposing people. Brother Wayne exposing people. Exposing this, exposing that, exposing this. Everybody claims to have the truth. The karma, reaping what I have sown. I went through a time where I'm pointing out all these people and calling them this and calling them that, where that happened to me. When I came out of Christian hip hop and Christian evangelism, people were calling me a devil worshiper. They would look into Michael Tessarian or Manly P. Hall or Jordan Maxwell and trace it back to me, and they would find all these crazy quotes these people have said and things that they've done. You believe that? You're this, you're that. So I had people who looked up to me as a inspiration, a street preacher, a Christian rapper, whatever. They look up to me. Now they have to tell people to stay away from me. People who used to honor me were now calling me a devil worshiper and going through this. So the same thing that I was pushing out there, that I was calling these people these names and you're a false prophet, it came back. It came back to me. Everything that I did came back like a slingshot. And it was pretty hard to go through. But I got a taste of my own medicine. Guess what? I learned not to do that. I learned from that. If I didn't learn and this is just I'd just be bullheaded, thinking you got it all figured out, then I'd probably be still spinning my wheels in that same place. But I learned from that, and I think that God has a beautiful way of allowing us to go through the wilderness and experiencing this stuff firsthand, so that we walk in empathy towards others and we truly have a burden for them. We're not just faking it. We're not just acting because it's religion, but we really do care about people, and we really do care about the homeless. You know how you care about the homeless? If you've been homeless. You know how to care for the orphan and widows? If you've ever been an orphan or widow, you probably have this burden for those people. People who have been through similar things that you've been through. You've been through a lot, right? You're living, you're learning, you're growing. You've been through a lot. You have compassion for a lot of different things. And that's why Paul says, become all things to all men, so that you can win some. You sit with that person. You've been there. You have that empathy, man. And that's what you create. That's what you are known for. The things that you're for, not what you're against, but what you're for. Love, peace, joy, long-suffering, the fruits of the Holy Spirit. That's the fruit that I can tell you're hanging out with Jesus. You're hanging out because show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You begin to act like the people you're hanging out with. You don't have to fool them. You have to trick them. Oh, I'm a Christian, man. I believe. Oh, really? Okay. Well, your lifestyle says something different. But it's the fruit that's there. There's fruit that's there. And you take that into all the world. Go out into all the world and preach the gospel. Is that there's a quote that says, preach the gospel, and occasionally use words. Some of my Reformed friends hate that quote because they think that the gospel is only communicated through preaching. I think it's communicated through a life transformed. Somebody's life who's been transformed by the power of Christ, by the Holy Spirit, by God himself. Herself, itself, whatever you think that power is. It's a father, it's a mother as well. It's a friend, it's a foe. It's whatever, it's whatever, wherever you are, what you need it to be. That's what God is, whatever you need it to be. I need it to be a friend right now. Okay, I'll be your friend. I need you to be my Refuge. Okay, I'll be your refuge. Need you to tell me a joke. Humor me. Okay. Look at that over there. Check that out. Look at that guy. You know what I'm saying? It really is, man. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's a beautiful song and dance. And God uses everything. God is in everything. He's in your darkness. He's in the light. You're never alone. There's nowhere you can go to escape God. You go search out the depths of hell. He's right there with you. Nothing you can do. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. You say, I might leave you. If I leave you or forsake you, do this. Romans chapter 8. What can separate us from the love of God? Nothing. It gets creative. It goes through a bunch of naming out things, demons, angels, principalities, death, this, this, names all this stuff. And it said at the end of the day, nothing separates you from the love of God. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Good stuff, man. If you don't know it, get with us. You need prayer. You want to know this God we're talking about in a more intimate way. It's there for you. Reach out to us. We are a community. We're building. We're growing. We're not stopping. We're thriving. God is good all the time. And I love each and every one of you guys who are here with us listening to this. And I hope this episode encouraged you. I hope that it imparted some type of spiritual gift of something for you wherever you are, because these principles work. And we've been talking, this isn't nothing new. We've been talking about this for a long time. I'm still excited about it, but hearing different takes on it, how it's working for other people. But we've been talking about this for a while. So being present, being in the moment, and it's in all my music. So it's good stuff. Make sure y'all check out all that good stuff. Follow us on social media. Hang out with us on Discord, which is the big thing now. We're all saying we're just having fun in Discord. So the link is in the description. You can get it on your phone, or you can get it on your computer or whatever. We do voice chat, text chat throughout the day and stuff too. So make sure y'all check that out. Thank you guys for supporting my work. If you would like to support this podcast and support my efforts to create conscious media through the podcast and through music and everything that I'm doing, we're stepping it up. Head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Any level of giving, you get a bunch of cool stuff. Tonight is Thursday. We're doing the School of the Mystics at 7 p.m. Central. You get access to that by becoming a patron as well. So School of the Mystics, join us there tonight. And each and every Thursday, whenever you're listening to this, shalom, shalom, peace, peace. I love you guys.
Your way is so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah Podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.